Hello, YouTube. I come to you with a humble message of holy fuck, I think the world is ending. I had no idea that Roblox had as many fucking players as it currently does, and I just saw the number for I think the first time and really internalized what the fuck I was looking at. I've had this idea in the back of my head for a little while now, and I don't have a whole lot to talk about this week, so I thought I'd be a little bit more off the cuff than usual and just kind of spew some thoughts at you about what I see as a very big issue that's coming along in the core gaming space that no one's really talking about. And I think that we might be amongst the last generation of core gaming players. I actually think that the market is currently trending in a pretty weird way. And we are not going to see it recover in this way unless there is a huge generational shift coming along, which seems unlikely. I don't think that huge generational shift is going to sway the people who are not entering the market as the way that it should have gone. So it doesn't take a genius to notice that over the last couple of years, the gaming market and the gaming industry has been on some weird of a level of a collapse. Now, the issue, if you've really been paying attention super closely, is that it's not a collapse, it's actually a major plateau. See, over the course of COVID in 2019, the gaming and entertainment space in general was on a magnificent lightning in a bottle rise. Everybody was stuck inside of their houses, and investors noticed this kind of junk, and they just pumped money into the gaming industry like crazy. Now, those targeted projections on the growth that was happening in 2019 didn't pan out. Those things stayed the same. And in fact, we actually plateaued pretty hard. And now we're having this giant market and industry correction where all of these layoffs are coming out of nowhere because those returns that investors really thought was going to come back didn't. We didn't continue to grow. In fact, we just kind of went at. We still make a ton of money in the games industry. It's massive. People are doing exceptionally well if you actually pay attention to what's going on. But because investor money is the only thing that drives large-scale market economics for the most part, those returns didn't show up, and therefore we kicked a bunch of people out the door. Now, people have been trying to spin this as this is the market collapsing. The video game industry boom is over. We're going to see just as bad of a collapse inside of the whole thing as we did back in the 80s. The industry is done. And the real answer to that is not that the industry is done, but it's changing. But I think the next chapter actually does mean to a certain degree that the industry is done. And what do I mean by that? So I don't like to say this at all. I don't like to have this idea at all. Don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. But I'm noticing the way that the younger audience that should be incorporating themselves into gaming is not currently showing up. They're actually going to completely different places. You see, the gaming space that if you're watching this video, you're probably over or just under the age of 25, is pretty much full of people like you and me. If you're watching this, you're probably around my same age, if not a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older than me. The core gaming audience is not exactly the youngest group of people these days, and that's kind of the thing. So the core gaming audience isn't getting younger. The younger generations are ending up on places like TikTok, on what was Fortnite for a little while, and now Roblox, which is fucking huge and is what I started this video off with, and I had no idea that there were that many people playing Roblox. Did you know that Roblox player counts are in the hundreds of millions? It's like 144 to 151 daily concurrent users. Where I look, like all kinds of different websites, they're telling me shit between like fucking... What's this one here? Yeah, 105.2 daily active users on just the App Store alone. This is 130.2 million people. Another website, I can come over here and check this. On its maximum peak in this one, this is freaking daily active users. 144 million people. Dude, that is so many more players that are daily active on one fucking game than like anything else you can find on Steam. Anything else that you can find on fucking PlayStation right now. Anything else more than Xbox, and a lot more than anything on Nintendo. That is one platform alone holding over 100 million players, and that's not players that are as old as me, man. Like, I'm not within that demographic. This is purely the Gen Alpha, like late Gen Z people who are jumping into this. Those player numbers are massive. And so here's what I'm trying to get at. The younger generation isn't playing the games that made you and me. We grew up on core gaming experiences like fucking Nintendo 64, GameCube, like your Zeldas, your Marios, your fucking Crash Bandicoots, Spyros, these major gaming franchises that built our idea around what a gaming consumer product should be. What does it mean to hold a disc in your hands and know the entire experience is right here? What's it like to like put down money and have the entire game in front of you? These kids are used to crazy microtransaction based services and all of this stuff. And let me tell you what's the more insane aspect of it. Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox are not part of that lexicon at all. It has nothing to do with the modern live service environment that you and me are even used to. It's completely fucking different. And based off of the sales numbers on holiday 2025, nobody's buying into the latest generation. It's only core gamers who are a older age demographic now. So that means that the core gaming AAA audience, hell, even the fucking indie space, which is thriving now, by the way, is not growing. It will not continue to grow because look, man, we're old, generations die off, consumers get busy. This is a entertainment-based hobby that is like completely dependent on your free time and ability to participate in it. As I've gotten older, the more that I've had stuff going on in my life, I do this YouTube channel, I do other projects outside of this, I make indie games for fun, I fucking have a full-time job, I have to commute like a crazy amount of time to do that, I'm gonna start a family, and I'm gonna fucking do all these other things in life, and you wanna know what I will have less of as I continue to get older and older and older? Fucking free time. More of my life has been less dedicated to video games over the last 10 years than it ever will be. And this consumer base is not going to grow out of all of this stuff, out of apathy. It's going to be just purely, I can't participate anymore. And you want to know who took over that mantle for when the millennials got too old to participate in 24/7 gaming mayhem? It was Gen Z. It's people like me. I am a very early Gen Zer. I am the guy that showed up after the millennials started to age out of this stuff. And by all means, many millennials have taken their good time to jump back in and hang out and play the stuff that they love when they can. I have done that same thing, but the Gen Zers have to get replaced by Generation Alpha. And for the most part, this isn't where they are. This isn't what they're doing. They're not looking at this gaming space that we look at. They're looking at something completely fucking different. And of which I don't know what that looks like, to be completely honest. I don't participate in playing stuff like Roblox. I don't play Fortnite. Tried Fortnite. I've seen friends jump on Roblox for the meme. I have no fucking idea what those experiences are, but I can tell you for a fact that they are a little bit more hollow and they don't exactly have the same level of design quality or production quality in something like Mario. I'm even a little apprehensive to even fucking say any of this because I have such little experience with it. But for the most part, they're not on Sony and Xbox. They don't have a Nintendo console. They don't have a PlayStation. And the reason that these platforms aren't selling well is it's gotten too fucking expensive. Every single console maker over the last 2 years now has raised their prices in some form of a way. I would even argue that the Switch 2 getting its current price announcement when it did was the addition of a higher price announcement for their environment, even if they haven't necessarily raised the price of the Switch 2 itself. I know a lot of people, including myself, who were priced out of the Switch 2 initially at launch. I had to wait for a Black Friday sale to finally justify my buy-in to getting a Switch 2. I don't own a PlayStation 5. I do own a DualSense Edge because I think this controller feels fucking amazing on my kick-ass PC, but I don't own a PlayStation 5. I don't own an Xbox Series X. The way that I was able to participate in the PlayStation 3 environment like forever ago was because a slim version came out of it that was cheaper. I got it for like less than $300 when the PlayStation 3 initially launched at $500. But now we are in the second half of this console generation, and every single one of those consoles have jumped up in price. Xbox has even announced their Project Helios, and Helios is being presented as a premium Windows device gaming product hybrid thing. That in combination is what's slowly going to move gaming away from a casual base, and core gaming is not going to be something that is for everybody, and it's just for older, slightly wealthier generations. And that's where gaming is going to die, and that's where gaming as you and me know it is going to die. So that's the big point that I'm getting at. We have a generation that has not experienced and probably will not experience gaming as PlayStation, Nintendo, or Xbox. Instead, they're experiencing it through weird Roblox madness, whatever that really is. And so with gaming becoming a premium hobby, it's becoming a huge luxury to own this stuff. To kind of backtrack and caveat a little bit, gaming has always been a first world luxury. You are not going to find the most high-end powerful hardware across the planet. I understand the situation that the world is in. I'm not naive to think that just because it's a hobby that was cheap to some degree previously doesn't mean that it's been cheap for everyone. There's generalizations inside of this specific example that I'm trying to make. But what I'm trying to say is that unless gaming remains cheap, the kids won't get into it. And I'm not seeing a world where the kids are getting into it, because gaming isn't fucking cheap. Gaming is an incredibly expensive hobby to be a part of, and you will not find that random mom and dad walking through a Target these days and realize, holy shit, that PlayStation 5 is now $200 for a Slim Edition. I'll pick that up right now. Get it for my kid. Might like it as a Christmas gift. Because that's how a lot of us got into this kind of stuff. A lot of us got into it because it was a toy that was marketed towards their kids to parents at pretty reasonable prices way back in the day. Look, that revolution is not coming anymore. Like, those things are not getting cheaper. There is not an entrance into this side of the hobby without that. Not only that, the games that come out in mass for those casual audiences are also not getting made. Gaming is more expensive than it ever has been. Games are taking longer and longer and longer to make to get them out into an audience that may or may not even enjoy it. And the generation is just leaving this side of the space behind. If that doesn't spell long-term disaster for an industry I really give a fuck about, dude, I have no idea what does. I really care about this stuff, obviously. I have a fucking YouTube channel about it. I'm an indie dev. I like to make things in this space. I've had a lifelong passion for video games. I want to see the industry grow. I want to see people have the experiences that I had. I want them to experience the things that I make. I want people to participate in the stuff that I love. I think there's a lot of value in these incredibly expensive pieces of art. If the younger generations don't get on this wave to try this stuff out, then who's going to be here? How is this going to work? So much of the gaming entrance was the console space. And since we're seeing so many of these gaming consoles get so expensive on their own, I just don't see a world where people are going to come along and try this. I don't see a world where, as these older generations slowly move out of this core gaming space, we're not going to get replaced with the new fresh batch of players that should be experiencing these new things. And that's really worrying and troublesome to me. I don't see a way out of this, because the real answer of how to get out of this situation and to have the core gaming space continue to thrive and to grow is to drop the prices of the consoles so that there is an entrance into the gaming space. And I don't know if that can happen. The way that the world is currently working in terms of the price of hardware, the manufacturing cost to make this stuff, things really, really need to change in the world, and how these business strategies play out need to change in the world to make that matter. Part of the situation of this that's kind of interesting is I think that some of the gaming companies, at least Nintendo and Sony and Xbox, are partially aware of this to a certain certain degree. Xbox just announced that they're dropping the price of Game Pass again after removing Call of Duty from the yearly Game Pass release. I don't think that cloud gaming is really the answer to the gaming situation in terms of getting people into the core audience. It's not that great of an experience at the end of the day. When you experience local processing, why the fuck would you ever want to use cloud gaming? I'm going to be honest, it might be convenient. It might be better than it ever has been, but every time I have used it, I'm abundantly aware of the input latency, and it's not a good enough experience for me. Maybe for a first time buy and someone who doesn't really know, maybe it is, but even then, cloud gaming is still got its drawbacks, and until I can't notice that input latency anymore, I'm not going to put my own stamp of approval on it. PlayStation hasn't done anything. They've raised prices twice in the last year, and those prices are exorbitant. A standard PlayStation 5 is $650, and a all digital version is $600. Dude, that's not a price that most people want to pay for an entrance fee into something that they would casually buy for a loved one during a holiday sale. That shit needs to drop by like 50%. That needs to be $300, or you're not going to get new users. The world is way too expensive to get that thing going. Now, Nintendo has not raised prices, but I would argue that the Switch 2 being as expensive as it is for at $450 was the raise up of a price, because usually in a new console generation, we see the previous generation slowly get phased out, and we see the new one kind of take its place in the price stack. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive than it was previously. Wasn't the case at all. The whole way that Nintendo kind of has their hardware lineup is things seem to be fairly tiered. The Switch 1 actually got a price increase rather than dropping down lower, and the Switch 2 sits nicely on top of that whole product stack. So I think that Nintendo is a bit more aware that their audience needs to have more of a budget entrance, even though they are still kind of stuck fairly high for what should be a console price. All of the gaming manufacturers, the big three, are currently aware of the situation they're in. I think they've done their best to make sure that people can buy into their ecosystems. It really is that combination of it's too expensive to get into the hobby, and they're not selling the younger generations on even wanting to make that leap, as if they even could if they wanted to. What do you think of all of this nonsense? To a certain degree, I feel like kind of whatever, because I am lucky enough for me personally to live in a side of the gaming space where if this becomes a premium hobby, well, this is my hobby and I'm doing okay in life, that I'm going to participate in it as much as I can. I'm doing much better in life than I ever thought that I fucking would. So I will say I'm a very lucky man to that degree. But yeah, are you in that space? Do you worry that the gaming space might completely change? It's not going to be something that happens overnight. We're not going to say goodbye to Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox next year, but given 10 years from now, if they can't find a big reason to try and get people to want to participate in this, gaming will change completely. Gaming has changed a lot over the last decade already. So I really can't see a situation in which it's not going to change a lot again. It's not going to go back to the good old days of Xbox 360, PS3, and Wii, back when I really thought that gaming kind of had something special going on. It's just going to be different, and it's kind of disheartening to think that those three things that I'm very much in love with might not exactly be around anymore at a certain point. Yeah, if you like this video, please like, please subscribe. I need to put this in the beginning, so I should be doing it more often. It feels kind of stupid to say, but it's part of the game that I have to play. So if you want to see me talk about more of this stuff, please let me know. Please stick around. And yeah, what do you think of all of this craziness? Are we part of the last generation of gaming? Because the more that I look at the stats, the more that I look at the way things are getting priced, I kind of think we are, unless these companies figure out that they need to get this stuff down so that a casual market starts to inject themselves more. Because look, man, we're all a bunch of flowers and we all wilt someday. And if we're not going to get replaced by something, then that field's just going to be fucking empty. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. So I got to find fucking happier topics to talk about, dude, because this one's really depressing me. Anyways, I'll see you later.